The words hit like a freight train derailing in slow motion. You're going to hell. Dad, because you're one of those gay guys. My 9-year-old stepson, Tommy, stared at me across the kitchen table, his blue eyes wide and unblinking. A half-eaten PB&J smeared on his plate like the remnants of our shattered family dinner. Jonathan froze beside me, his fork clattering against the ceramic, the sound echoing louder than any scream could. I remember the exact second my heart cracked open, right there in our cozy craftsman home in suburban Portland, Oregon, with the rain pattering against the windows like God's own judgment. Tommy wasn't even looking at his real dad. Jonathan, no. Those innocent, venom-laced words were aimed straight at me. Nathan, the man who'd spent the last 2 years trying to glue this patchwork family together with love and lies. That night, as Jonathan bundled Tommy off to bed with whispers I couldn't hear, I sat alone in the dim kitchen glow, staring at the family photo on the fridge. Me, Jonathan, Tommy grinning toothless at Disney World last summer. We'd fought so hard to get here, 2 men building a life in a world that still whispered freak behind closed doors. But one kid's Sunday school echo had just blown it all to hell. And I knew, deep in my gut, that saving us meant choices that would rip me apart before they mended anything. Portland in the fall of 2025 felt like a cruel joke sometimes, a city of rainbow flags and craft breweries masking the undercurrents of old prejudices that snake through the suburbs like forgotten storm drains. Jonathan and I had met 4 years earlier at a mutual friend's wedding in Seattle, both of us nursing fresh divorces from women we'd loved in that desperate, straight-passing way young men do when the world demands it. I was 28 then, a graphic designer scraping by on freelance gigs, hiding my crushes on guys behind beer pong and bad dates. Jonathan was 30, a high school history teacher with a laugh that could disarm a room and eyes like the Willamette River at dusk, deep, murky, pulling you under. Our first real conversation was on the ferry back from the wedding, huddled against the wind, sharing a thermos of spiked coffee. Ever feel like you're living someone else's script? He'd asked, his voice barely above the waves slapping the hull. I nodded, confessing fragments, the college hookup I'd buried, the family Bible study where love the sinner felt like a noose. By the time we docked in Bainbridge, we'd exchanged numbers, and 2 weeks later, over dim some in Chinatown, we kissed for the first time. It was electric, terrifying, my first real surrender to who I was. Fast forward through the whirlwind, 6 months of stolen weekends, coming out to bewildered friends, the raw vulnerability of therapy sessions where we unpacked our internalized shame. Jonathan had Tommy from his marriage to Sarah, a sweet but mismatched union that ended amicably when she realized her heart lay with women. Custody was shared, but Sarah's new life in Seattle meant Tommy spent more time with us. I fell for that kid like he was my own, teaching him to ride a bike on the neighborhood greenway, building forts from IKEA boxes, reading him stories about brave knights who loved whoever they damn well pleased. We made it official 2 years ago, a quiet commitment ceremony in our backyard, under string lights and a canopy of Douglas firs, with close friends and Sarah toasting us. No rings, no cake, just vows whispered like secrets. I choose you. Every messy, beautiful day, Jonathan said, his hand trembling in mine. Tommy, then 7, scattered rose petals with a grin, oblivious to the miracles we were weaving around him. But miracles fray. It started subtly, those whispers of discord. Tommy's elementary school was progressive on paper, pride assemblies, books with 2-mom families, but the kids came from everywhere, including the evangelical enclaves dotting East Portland. I'd catch him repeating phrases at bedtime, Boys can't marry boys, right? That's what Pastor Mike said. Jonathan and I brushed it off at first, countering with stories of our own, hugs that said louder than words. But doubt crept in like fog off the Columbia. Then came the church visits. Sarah, ever the peacemaker, wanted Tommy exposed to her family's faith, her parents. Devout Methodists in rural Washington, who loved their grandson fiercely but eyed Jonathan's lifestyle with that polite Southern chill. It's just for holidays, she'd assured us. Builds character. We relented. Because who were we to gatekeep spirituality? But those trips planted seeds. Tommy came home quieter, his drawings shifting from rainbows to crosses, his questions laced with thorns. The dinner bomb dropped on a Tuesday, the kind of ordinary evening that retroactively becomes legend. I'd whipped up spaghetti, my half-assed attempt at family night, while Jonathan graded papers at the table. Tommy chattered about school, then paused, fork mid-twirl. Daddy J, he said, using his nickname for Jonathan. Miss Harper read us a book about a prince who kisses a frog, but the frog was a boy. Is that bad? Jonathan's smile was easy. Practiced. Nah, buddy. Love's love. Princes can kiss whoever makes them happy. Tommy nodded, then turned to me, his small face crumpling. But you're going to hell, Dad, because you're one of those gay guys. The room spun. I saw the echo of his grandparents' sermons in his eyes, fire and brimstone simplified for second graders. Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. My throat closed. I wanted to laugh it off, hug it away. But the pain was visceral, a betrayal from a boy I'd tucked in 100 nights. Jonathan's face drained of color. Tommy, where'd you hear that? Grandma Ellen. She said Nathan's nice, but God doesn't like. You know, he shrugged, like it was just another fact, like 2 plus 2. I excused myself, fleeing to the garage, where our old Subaru sat like a confessional. Leaning against the hood, I punched the air silently, tears hot and furious. How dare they? How dare a woman I'd welcomed into our home poison my son like this? But deeper, the rot was mine. Had I ever truly shielded him? Or was I still that scared kid from Boise, Idaho, praying away my feelings in a Baptist basement? Jonathan found me an hour later, his silhouette in the doorway like a lifeline. He's asleep. I told him it's not true, that we love you more than any story. He crossed the concrete, pulling me into his arms. We stood there, rocking like we did in those early days, his chin on my shoulder. This isn't on you, Nate. It's fear. Old, stupid fear. But it is, I whispered, my voice breaking. I'm the intruder here, the gay guy in his straight mom's family. Maybe we rushed this. He pulled back, eyes fierce. Don't. We're family. All of us. But doubt flickered in his gaze. The first crack in our foundation. That night, tangled in sheets that smelled of lavender detergent, we made love, not the frantic passion of new lovers, but something tender, desperate, like sealing a wound. Yet sleep evaded me, haunted by Tommy's words. The hellfire I'd outrun, now chasing my child. The next morning, I called in sick, a rarity for a freelancer who lived by deadlines. Jonathan dropped Tommy at school, kissing my forehead with a murmured, "We'll fix this." Alone, I paced our living room. The mid-century modern furniture weeds scavenged from estate sales, mocking my unraveling. Fix this? How? Confront Sarah's parents? Drag Tommy to a therapist who'd bill us into oblivion? Or worse, walk away? Spare the kid the sin of me? My phone buzzed, a text from my sister, Mia, back in Boise. Heard from Mom. You okay? Family dinner this weekend. Mom, the woman who'd prayed over me for years, convinced my phase was a demon. I'd come out to her a decade ago, post-divorce from my ex-wife. Lisa, a union born of college infatuation and societal script. Lisa and I had parted as friends. No kids, just regrets. But Mom still sent articles, pray the gay away, success stories, like chain letters from purgatory. I ignored it, diving instead into research. Portland had resources, PFLAG meetings, youth groups for queer kids. But Tommy wasn't queer. He was collateral, a 9-year-old battlefield. By noon, I drafted an email to Sarah. Polite venom. Tommy repeated something troubling last night. We need to talk about influences during visits. Send. Regret. Delete draft. No action. However messy. Beat paralysis. Jonathan came home at lunch. Tommy in tow for an early release day. The kid barreled in, backpack swinging, oblivious. Dad, can we build that volcano today? He hugged my legs, and something in me shattered anew. Not anger, but a fierce, protective ache. Volcano it is. Champ, I said, ruffling his hair. But as we mixed baking soda in the backyard, Jonathan caught my eye over the fizzing foam, his nod saying, we're in this. That afternoon blurred into normalcy. Volcano eruptions. Pizza delivery. A Pixar movie where the villains got redeemed. Bedtime was harder. Tommy clung to Jonathan, whispering apologies I pretended not to hear. I didn't mean it. Daddy J. I love Nathan. Jonathan's voice cracked as he soothed. We know, buddy. Everyone makes mistakes, even grown-ups. Later, alone, we dissected on the couch, wine glasses sweating in our hands. Sarah called, Jonathan said. She's mortified. Says her mom's old school. But it'll stop. No more unsupervised visits. Relief mixed with rage. It's not just her mom. It's everywhere. The playground whispers. The app Jonathan uses for hookups. No. Wait. That's not. I stopped. Heat rising. I'd glimpsed his Grindr icon once. Months ago. Buried in apps. We'd laughed it off, just looking. Babe. Window shopping. But in this fragility, it festered. He set down his glass, face paling. Nate, it's nothing. Curiosity from the dry spell when Tommy was with Sarah last month. Dry spell? Try 3 weeks of me buried in client revisions. The words spilled. Accusatory. Were you meeting someone? No. God, no. But his eyes darted. And there it was, the seed of misunderstanding, watered by exhaustion. I stormed to the guest room, slamming the door on our first real fight. Lies, even small ones, have long shadows. Days bled into a tense routine. Tommy bounced back, his affections undivided. But I watched him closer, every flinch at our hand-holding, every averted gaze during storytime kisses. School pickup became my ritual, chatting up teachers about inclusivity curricula. One evening, Principal Reyes pulled me aside. Tommy mentioned something in art class, a drawing of a family with a burning house. We're here if you need counseling. Burning house. Hell's metaphor. Child-sized. I nodded, throat tight, and drove home to Jonathan's waiting arms. We're getting him a therapist, I announced. And us. Couples counseling. No more tiptoeing. He agreed, but the air hummed with unspoken accusations. That night, as rain lashed the windows, he confessed over takeout Thai. Okay, fine, the app. Once. A coffee meet. Nothing happened. I was scared. Nate. After Tommy's words, I felt exposed. Like if you left, I'd be alone again. Betrayal stung, sharp as a paper cut. You think I'd leave? After everything, tears welled, his followed. We clung, Apologies tumbling like dominoes. My insecurities for Boise is from a childhood of absent dads. It was raw, human, the kind of fight that either ends you or forges steel. But steel bends under pressure. The climax brewed at Thanksgiving. Sarah's parents insisted on hosting in Yakima, Washington, a 4-hour drive through evergreen tunnels. Family tradition, Sarah pleaded. One last try for unity. Against my gut, we went, Tommy sandwiched between us in the back seat, chattering about turkey. The farmhouse was a time capsule, cross-stitched scriptures, faded Reagan portraits, the scent of pot, roast masking mothballs. Ellen greeted us with hugs that lingered too long on Tommy. Her smile for Jonathan strained. For me, non-existent. Nathan, dear, how's the design work? Polite poison. Dinner was a minefield. Conversation skirted politics, Trump's shadow lingering in 25's divided electorate, until Grandpa Hal, ruddy-faced and retired mill worker, boomed. Heard Portland's gone full Sodom these days. Gays in the streets. Teaching it in schools. Tommy piped up. Innocent dagger, but Dad Nathan's gay. And he's nice. Grandma said, Tommy. Ellen's voice cracked like a whip. The table froze. Jonathan's fork dropped. Sarah's face blanched. I felt the room tilt. Hellfire in Hal's glare. Ellen, Sarah hissed. We talked about this. It's the truth. Ellen shot back, tears streaking. The Bible says, enough. Jonathan slammed his palm down, chair scraping. Tommy wailed, and chaos erupted, plates clattering, accusations flying. You've poisoned him, I roared at Ellen, standing, heart pounding. He's 9. He deserves love, not your hate. How rose, towering. Boy, you waltz in, confuse our grandson. He's not confused, Jonathan bellowed, shielding Tommy. He's loved by 2 dads who fight for him every day. The melee spilled outside, rain soaking us as I bundled Tommy into the car. Jonathan argued with Sarah on the porch, voices raw over the downpour. Your parents are toxic, he yelled. No more visits. Inside the Subaru, Tommy sobbed into my chest. I ruined everything. My heart fractured. No, champ. Grown-ups did. But we'll fix it. We fled. Tires hydroplaning on slick I-5. Jonathan white-knuckled at the wheel. Silence stretched, broken only by a wiper's swish. Then, the swerve, a deer, eyes flashing in headlights. Jonathan yanked. Overcorrected, tires screamed. World inverted. Blackness. Then pain. Sirens wailing. Hospital lights buzzed like angry hornets. I woke cuffed to a bed. Tommy's small hand in mine. Jonathan's voice from the hall. He's stable. Concussion. Broken ribs. The crash was minor. A guardrail kiss. But the real wreckage was internal. In that sterile room, as morphine dulled edges, secrets spilled. Jonathan confessed fully. The app meat had been a lonely guy from his past. A one-drink lapse born of fear we'd never survive Tommy's doubts. I thought if I could still pass. I laughed bitterly. For tugging. We're past passing. John. We're us. He wept. Head on my blanket. Forgive me, only if you forgive my walls. We vowed then, no more hiding. No more half-truths. Sarah called. Contrite. Full custody push. Grandparents cut off. Ellen's apology email arrived days later. Halting. I was wrong. Love him like my own. Recovery was slow, physical for me, emotional for all. Tommy's therapist, a kind queer woman named Dr. Ruiz, unpacked the layers, his guilt, our enmeshment. Kids absorb our fears, she said. Teach him resilience. Winter thawed into spring 26. We planted a garden, Tommy's idea, to grow new things. Jonathan and I renewed vows on our porch. Tommy officiating with a squirt gun arch. No fanfare, just fireflies and promises. But humanism isn't tidy. Mia visited from Boise. Mom in tow. Tentative bridges. Mom hugged me awkwardly, whispering, "I see it now, the light in your eyes." Not full acceptance, but a start. Tommy drew families with 2 dads. No burning houses. Years on, that dinner echo fades, replaced by laughter at Tommy's soccer games. Jonathan's tenure toast. We've scarred, but scars tell stories of betrayal mended, misunderstandings unraveled. A boy taught that hell's not a place, but a choice we reject. In the end, family isn't blood or Bibles. It's the porch swing at dusk. 2 men and a boy, watching stars claim the sky. And damn if that isn't heaven enough. Looking back, the real unraveling started not with Tommy's words, but in the quiet aftermath, when the adrenaline faded and doubt took root like bindweed in our garden. It was early December now, the Christmas lights twinkling mockingly from neighbors' roofs. A Portland tradition that felt less festive and more frantic after the Yakima blowout. Jonathan and I tiptoed around each other, our lovemaking reduced to obligatory pecks, the guest room becoming semi-permanent. Tommy sensed it, his questions sharper. Why's Dad Nathan sleeping alone? Did I make him mad? No. Buddy, I'd lie, forcing a smile over Cocoa Puffs. Just guy stuff. But inside, I was a storm, betrayed by Jonathan's secret coffee clutch. Furious at Ellen's indoctrination. Terrified I'd lose the only family I'd clawed from ashes. Work suffered. My freelance gigs, branding for eco-startups, logos for queer-owned cafes, piled up, untouched. Instead, I scrolled Reddit's r/gay bros. Anonymous vents mirroring my rage. Husband cheated emotionally. Worth saving. Upvotes blurred through tears. Jonathan, buried in lesson plans on the civil rights movement, came home late, smelling of chalk and regret. Counseling tomorrow, he'd remind, like a bandage on a bullet wound. Our first session with Dr. Patel, a soft-spoken South Asian man with wire rims and a knack for silence, was brutal. We sat on opposite ends of the leather couch. Tommy with Sarah for the day. "Tell me about the trust breach," Patel prompted, pen poised. Jonathan exhaled. "It was stupid. This guy, Mark from college. We hooked up once. Pre-Tommy. He messaged after the app thing, and I met him. Talked about old times, fears. No touching. I swear, my fists clenched. But you hit it. Like I'm a fragile one who can't handle your doubts. You're not fragile," he snapped, eyes flashing. "You're the rock." But that night after Tommy, I panicked. Thought, what if we're not enough? What if he grows up resenting us? Patel's nod was neutral. "And you, Nathan? What does this stir?" "Everything," I admitted, voice raw. "I'm a stepdad, the outsider. If you stray, even a coffee, I'm gone." Back to Boise. Alone. The session cracked us open. My abandonment scars from Dad's mill accident when I was 10. Leaving Mom to raise 4 kids on diner tips. Jonathan's from a nomadic childhood. Dad chasing jobs. Mom numbing with gin. "You're projecting," Patel said gently. But projection heals with honesty. Homework. Daily check-ins. No devices after 8 p.m. It felt contrived, but small acts built bridges. A shared run along the waterfront. Hands brushing under the Hawthorne Bridge. Cooking Jonathan's favorite clam chowder. Tommy stirring with glee. Yet the misunderstandings deepened, fed by external gales. Sarah dropped a bomb over coffee at Tin Shed. Mom's coming clean. She showed Tommy those videos. Love Went Out reruns. Ex-gay testimonies. Thought it was protecting him. Rage boiled. Protecting? From what happiness? I slammed my mug. Latte foamed, spilling like froth on fury. Sarah's eyes welled. She's scared. Nate. Of losing him to that lifestyle. But I'm done. Filing for supervised visits only. It should have united us. But paranoia bloomed. That night, Jonathan's phone buzzed during check-in, a text from him, hard in throat. I glimpsed. Missed our talk. Drinks soon. Mark. Again. Confrontation erupted in whispers. Tommy asleep upstairs. It's nothing, Jonathan hissed. He wants closure. Closure? Or do-over? Accusations flew. My jealousy unfounded. His secrecy gaslighting. We slept apart. The house a tomb. The unexpected climax hit mid-January. A Friday night, family game night, turned tribunal. Tommy, hyped on hot cocoa, pulled out Uno but paused. Cards fanned. Dads, I heard you fighting. Is it because of me? Silence crushed. Jonathan reached, but I spoke first. Partly, champ, but mostly grown-up mistakes. Like when I didn't trust Daddy J enough. Tommy's brow furrowed. Like when I said that hell thing. I didn't mean it. Grandma showed me pictures, guys like you, sad and alone. But you're not sad. Jonathan's voice broke. No, kiddo. We're happy. Because of you. But Tommy's eyes narrowed. Wise beyond years. Then why's Dad Nathan's stuff in the other room? Are you getting divorced like Mom and her friend? The question gutted us. Divorced, like Sarah and her ex. Or my Lisa. Flashes, courtrooms, custody wars. The queer kid statistic of family fracture. No, I vowed, pulling him close. We're fixing it. Promise. He nodded. But as we played, Uno's draw fours a metaphor for our piled pains. I saw the fear in his small frame. Later, alone, Jonathan and I mapped a plan. Weekend retreat to the Oregon coast. Just us three. Reboot, he called it. I agreed. Desperation my compass. Packing dawn Saturday. Another text pinged, Jonathan's phone. Left charging. Mark, can't stop thinking. Meet, my vision tunneled. Betrayal. Round 2. I forwarded it to Sarah. Blind rage my guide. Your ex's drama spilling over. She replied instantly. What? John's seeing someone. The drive to Cannon Beach was hell. Rain slicked 101. Wipers frantic. Jonathan chatted obliviously with Tommy about Haystack Rock. But I seethed. Knuckles white. At the rental, a driftwood A-frame overlooking the surf. We unpacked tension with beach walks. Kites whipping in gusts. Tommy built sandcastles. Jonathan and I trailing. Word sparse. Evening bonfire. Salt air sharp. Flames dancing. Tommy roasted marshmallows. Sticky-fingered philosopher. Dads, promise you'll always stay. Always, we chorused. But as he dozed by the fire, I exploded. Mark texted again. Can't stop thinking. You lied. Jonathan paled. Firelight carving shadows. I blocked him. After the first. Sarah knows now. Thinks you're cheating. The accusation hung. Heavier than fog. He stood, pacing sand. You're sabotaging us. Forwarding like a kid tattling. I'm protecting Tommy. I yelled. Waves crashing applause. From your wandering, it escalated, voices raw. Secrets unearthed. Jonathan admitted, Mark wasn't just old flame. He'd been Jonathan's first love. Post-divorce confusion. He represents, what if, the straight-passing life I escape. And I don't. Hurt, lacerated. I mean, what if now? No, he grabbed my arms. You're my everything. But fear. It's a thief. We collapsed by the fire, sobs mingling with surf. Confessions poured, my Boise ghosts, emailing mom weekly progress reports to appease his teacher stress, fearing outing to conservative parents. Dawn broke forgiveness. Tentative, vows renewed in salt spray, hands clasped over embers. Back home, therapy intensified. Sarah mediated with Ellen. A tearful Zoom. I was blind. Nathan. Afraid of change. Partial amends. Boundaries drawn. Spring bloomed, tentative peace. Tommy's drawings evolved. Families whole. Skies clear. But depth lingers. Decisions like choosing love over ease. Conflicts that scar but strengthen. By April, the fractures we'd papered began to show. Hairline at first, then gaping. Portland's cherry blossoms mocked us. Petals carpeting streets like confetti from a party we hadn't been invited to. Jonathan threw himself into school, chaperoning the GSA club, coming home with stories of teens braver than we'd been. One kid's fighting his church, echoes of Tommy, he'd say, eyes distant. I nod, buried in revisions. But envy gnawed. His purpose felt noble, mine, pixel pushing. Tommy thrived outwardly, straight A's. Soccer goals celebrated with high fives from both dads. But bedtime rituals revealed tremors. Dreamed you left. Dad Nathan. Like a balloon floating away. I'd hold him tighter, whispering, tethered forever. Yet doubt whispered back. Was I enough? The stepdad specter loomed, amplified by a school conference where Tommy's teacher, MS. Hale, pulled us aside. He's acting out in subtle ways, withdrawing during family share circles. Any stressors at home? Jonathan's jaw tightened. We're working through some adjustments. She nodded sympathetically. Blended families are tough, especially queer ones. Flag has a support group. We know I cut in sharper than intended. Her flinch stung, defensiveness. My old foe. Driving home, silence festered. Why snap? Jonathan asked, merging onto I-84. Embarrassed. Like we're poster boys for dysfunction. You're not, he soothed, hand on my knee. But the touch felt obligatory. And that night, alone in bed, Tommy conked out after a Cub Scouts den meeting. I scrolled old photos. Our Seattle fairy kiss. Wind-tousled and free. When had we become this? Co-parents with benefits. The betrayal's second wave crashed via Mia's visit. My sister, ever the whirlwind from Boise, arrived with craft IPAs and mom's pecan pie. A peace offering wrapped in Tupperware. She's trying. Nate. Read your emails, says she's proud. Proud. The word tasted foreign. Over backyard burgers. Mia cornered Jonathan while I flipped patties. How you holding up? Nate's been radio silent, worried he's spiraling. Jonathan's laugh was tight. We're good. Just. Life. She pressed. Wine loose. He mentioned the app thing. You okay? My brother's loyal to a fault. Don't break him. Guilt flashed in his eyes. I'd never, but Mia's words burrowed, fueling my vigilance. Days later, rifling laundry, a habit I'd sworn off post-fight. I found it. A receipt from Seaside Cafe. Dated our coast trip. Coffee for two. Mark's haunt. Paranoia peaked. I drove to the school unannounced, catching Jonathan in the parking lot. Phone to ear. Yeah. Soon. Miss you too. Laughter. Light. My blood iced. Confrontation waited till Tommy's bedtime. Who was that? He pocketed the phone. Casual. A colleague. Planning the Pride Assembly. The laugh. The miss you. Suspicion cracked his calm. Jesus. Nate. Paranoia again. After therapy. Receipt from Seaside. Explain. He deflated, sinking to the couch. Mark emailed apology. Closure. I met him for coffee. Told him we're done. For good. You drove 2 hours? During our reboot? It was before. Day of the drive. I needed to end it clean. Tears brimmed. Trust me. Please. But trust was ash. You're a liar, I whispered, packing a bag. I can't. I crashed at Mia's hotel. Her arms a Boise lifeline. Call him, she urged. Talk. Don't bolt. Tex flew. His pleas. My barbs. Tommy asks for you. How's closure feel now? Dawn brought regret. I returned. How's silent? Jonathan's note. At school. Love you. Fight for us. Therapy that week was Armageddon. Dr. Patel mediated fury. My abandonment triggers. Jonathan's autonomy excuse. Coffee isn't cheating, he insisted. But hiding is. Revelation hit. The real secret wasn't Mark. It was Jonathan's doubt in us. A mirror to my own. I fear losing you to this, I admitted. The perfect family illusion. He reached. Tentative. Then let's shatter it. Be messy. Real. But mess multiplied. Ellen's amends visit, supervised. Tense backfired. Over tea. She cornered me. Nathan. I prayed on it. God's merciful. Change is possible. Change. I laughed bitterly. I'm not broken. Tommy overheard. Bursting in. Leave Dad alone. He's good. Chaos. Ellen fleeing in tears. Sarah apologizing profusely. The climax crested at Pride Month kickoff. June's Rainbow Riot. We marched with Tommy. Signs aloft. Love wins. But midway. Through the throng. Drag queens. Queer elders. Families like ours. Jonathan vanished. Panic surged. Tommy clung. Where's Daddy J? 15 minutes. Eternity. Then. A text. Meet at the fountain. Important. Heart hammering. We pushed through. Finding him with. Mark. Arm in arm. Laughing. World ended. What the? Nate. Wait. Jonathan pulled free. He's here to apologize. In person. Mark. Sheepish in a faded Husky's tee. Extended a hand. I was wrong. Push when I shouldn't. You too. Real deal. Sorry. Stunned. I shook. Tommy gaping. Uncle Mark, he'd dub him from stories. Innocent. The march resumed. But tension hummed. Later, at a food car pod, Jonathan confessed, invited him to prove, to myself, I'm all in. No what-ifs. Relief warred with exhaustion. Next time, together. Summer healed haltingly. Cabin trip to Crater Lake, where Tommy skipped stones. Jonathan and I hiked, hands linked under ponderosis. Humanism's in the trying, Dr. Patel echoed. Yet depth demands sacrifice. I quit freelancing toxicity, starting a queer design co-op. Jonathan mentored Tommy's GSA at school. Ellen faded. But Sarah bridged. She's reading God and the Gay Christian. Progress. Fall brought normalcy's gift. Tommy's birthday. A backyard bash with water balloons and cake. As he blew candles. Wishing Dad's forever, I believed it. Autumn's amber haze settled over Portland like a benediction. Leaves crunching underfoot as we navigated the final bends in our story's arc. By October 2026, the raw edges of betrayal had scabbed. Those scars itched on humid days. Jonathan and I recommitted, not with ceremonies, but quiet revolutions, date nights at food carts, swapping Thai for Jonathan's pick, Korean barbecue under neon glows, therapy morphing from battlefield to blueprint. Dr. Patel's questions now guides. What does enough look like for you both? Tommy, turning 10 with a soccer-themed bash, embodied our progress. His friends, diverse as the city, from hijab-wearing Aisha to non-binary Riley, swarmed our yard, oblivious to the undercurrents that had nearly drowned us. "Best party ever," he yelled. "Piñata candy raining." Ellen sent a card. "Proud of my brave boy," her handwriting steadier. Amends inching from words to tentative FaceTimes. But conflicts linger. Humanism's price. Mia's wedding pulled us to Boise. A homecoming laced with peril. Mom, silver-streaked and softened by grandkids, Mia's twins, hosted rehearsal dinner in her clapboard house, the same where I'd hidden comics under floorboards, dreaming of escape. "Nathan," she said, cornering me by the pie, "I've been wrong. Seeing you with Tommy. It's holy." Tears pricked. "Means the world. Mom." Jonathan, charming the aunts with Portland tales, squeezed my hand under the table. No drama, just presence, a victory small as Idaho potatoes. Yet misunderstandings ghost resurfaced on route home. A podcast on queer infidelity. Jonathan's enlightenment listen sparked debate. "Emotional affairs count," the host opined. I paused it. "Like your more coffees?" He sighed. Columbia Gorge unfolding. "Learn my lesson. But yeah, counts. We're better for naming it." Tommy, from back seat, piped, "What's an affair? Like sharing toys bad." Laughter dissolved tension. "Kinda," Jonathan said. "But grown-up toys. We share hearts now." Winter holidays tested resolve. Sarah's new partner, Lena, a warm barista with Lena's laugh, joined for tree trimming. Ellen arrived, cautious, bearing ornaments, family heirlooms. Awkward at first, her eyes skittling from our joined hands, but Tommy's glee bridged. "Grandma, help with the star. Buy you a log crackle." Stories flowed. Her youth in '60s Seattle. Stifled queers, our Portland perils. "I feared losing him to sin," she admitted. "But sin's the fear, not love. Forgiveness isn't erasure, it's coexistence." She left with hugs, promising PFLAG meetings. The true climax, unexpected as Pacific squalls, struck New Year's Eve. Jonathan's school gala, black tie fundraiser, drew us downtown. Tommy with Sarah in the hotel ballroom, amid jazz swells and fairy lights. Mark appeared. Sober now. A teacher, too. He approached post-toast. "Heard about the co-op. Congrats." Eyes on Jonathan. "Proud of you." Jealousy flickered, but I quashed it. "Thanks. Join us sometime, ally. He nodded, diffusing. Later, on the balcony overlooking the Willamette fireworks, blooms of gold and crimson, Jonathan turned. "That was you. Choosing grace." "Us," I corrected, kissing him as bells tolled. Fireworks mirrored our spark, dramatic, fleeting, eternal. Spring 2027 bloomed, full renewal. Tommy's bat mitzvah no. Wait. His school play, he is Atticus Finch, defending the misunderstood. "You never really understand a person until you climb into his skin," he recited, eyes locking ours. Standing ovation, tears flowing. Dr. Patel discharged us. "You've built resilience. Remember, conflicts return, but so does your toolkit." Summer road trip to Yellowstone echoed our beginnings, tent pitches, geyser sprays. Tommy, 11 now, confessed by Old Faithful, "I was scared once. Of you too. Thought it'd break." Pause. But it mends. Betrayals echo, faint. A lesson etched. Jonathan's what-ifs quelled by choice. My walls crumbled in vulnerability. Ending humanistic, as life insists, not flawless utopia, but textured tapestry. We argue over chores. Celebrate triumphs. Hold Tommy through heartbreaks ahead. Portland's rains nourish, reminding growth demands storms. On our porch swing, golden hour eternal. Jonathan's arm around me. Tommy sketching beside. Fireflies wink, stars emerge. Hell, a myth we outgrew. Heaven's here, in messy love. Hard-won family. The American dream redefined. 2 men, 1 boy. Rewriting the script. And in that rewrite, we thrive.